Okay, a random survey was conducted about gender and hair color. This table records the data. What is the probability that a randomly selected person has blonde hair given that the person is male? Remember, we're looking for probability of a blonde hair given that the person is male. Whenever it's given, you can use the formula, which says that since our total is the given probability of B, and we know we're given they're male, that's all we're going to look at is the male students. Everybody else is not in the picture anymore. So my total for male, if I add them up, is 1,506. So if I want to know the probability that we get somebody with blonde hair, I look at my table and find the intersection. 876 divided by 1506 is going to give me my probability. If I put that into my calculator, I get 0.58. You do this one. What is the probability that a randomly selected person goes to the movie at least twice a week, given that they are female? So remember, you're only going to look at the females, and in this case we have our total for females already. Notice it's in front of me. Tell me what the probability that somebody goes twice a week. Number 2, which of the following events are independent given the probability of A, the probability of B, and the probability of A and B, which is the intersection? Remember, our standard says, understand that two events A and B are independent if the probability of A and B occurring together is the product of their probabilities. So if I work these out, let's look at answer choice A. 0.25 times 0.25 equals 0.0625, which is not what it says the intersection equals, so A is out. Let's look at answer choice B. 0.08 times 0.4 equals 0.032, which is not what they said the intersection was, so B's out. Let's look at C. 0.16 times 0.24 equals 0.0384, which is not what they say it equals, so C's out. Let's check and make sure it's D. 0.3 times 0.15 equals 0.045, which is what they said it equals, so D is your answer. You work this one. Number 3, in Mr. Jacobs' class there are 12 boys and 16 girls. On Tuesday, 4 boys and 5 girls were wearing white shirts. If a student is chosen at random from Mr. Jacobs' class, what is the probability of choosing a boy or a student wearing a white shirt? So we know that we need to use the addition rule because or is talking about union. All right? So it says the probability of A, how many boys? We have 12 boys out of a total of 28. Plus the probability of B, that means people wearing white shirts. Well, there are 4 boys and 5 girls wearing white shirts. So that's 9 out of 28. And we want to subtract the probability of A and B. So how many are boys? How many boys are wearing white shirts? That would be 4 out of 28. So if I put that in my calculator and work it out, that gives me 17 out of 28 is the probability of choosing a boy or a person with a white shirt. You work this one. Next one. In Mr. Jacobs' class, there are 12 boys and 16 girls. On Tuesday, 4 boys and 5 girls were wearing white shirts. If a student is chosen at random from Mr. Jacobs' class, what is the probability of choosing a girl given the student has on a white shirt? So, what I want to use the formula, I know that I need A and B. So how many people are girls and wearing white shirts? That would give me 5. Out of your given the student has on a white shirt. So how many people have on a white shirt? 4 plus 5 have on a white shirt, so 5 out of 9 is a conditional probability. You work this one. Number 4, a random survey is taken to gather information about grade level and car ownership status at a school. The results are shown in the table. Estimate the probability that a selected student will be a junior given that that student owns a car. So we're given that the student owns a car. So if we know they own a car, those are the only people we're going to look at. We won't care for anybody else. So we want to know the probability that we get a junior. So we have 6 juniors out of the total that own a car. That would be 18. And you can simplify that to be 1/3. You do this one. Estimate the probability that a student randomly selected will be a senior given they are taking Latin. So we want Latin only. All the other numbers are eliminated. Don't forget to find your total. Number 5. Which two-way frequency table shows that the probability of W given Y equals 0.25? So we know that we're given Y, so let's only look at event Y in each table. We don't need any others because we have a condition. All the rest of them are thrown out. So we want to know the intersection. So that would give me 12 over 48 for the first table. 12 over 38 for the second table. 25 over 37 for the third table. And 10 over 50 for the last table. We want to see which ones equals 0.25. So if I put 12 divided by 48 in the calculator, that tells me it's 0.25. So that is the table that has the conditional probability of W given Y. You work this one. Which two-way frequency table shows that the probability of Z given X is 0.5? So remember, if we're given event X, that's the only event we're looking at. All the rest of the numbers are eliminated because we know that it came from event X. You want to find the probability for each table and see which one equals 0.5. In a particular state, the first character on a license plate is always a letter, and the last character is always a digit from 0 to 9. If V represents all of the license plates beginning with a vowel, so I know I'm looking for a vowel, and O represents all the license plates ending with an odd number, which license plates belongs to the set V intersect O prime? Well, I know V is a vowel, so I'm looking for a license plate that begins with a vowel. So that eliminates D, and that eliminates B. I know that O is an odd number, so O prime would be a number that is not odd. So if I look at the license plate, which license plate ends with a number that is not an odd number? That would give me A. You do the same thing. Which license plate belongs to the set V prime intersect O? What does V prime represent? What does O represent? Find the plate that belongs to that set. Number 7. The two-way table provides data about the 240 randomly chosen people who visit a movie theater. Consider the following events. Event A pays for regular admission. Event B purchases a snack. Which is the best description of the two events? So regular admission is A, purchases a snack is B. Remember our standard said to understand that events A and B are independent if the probability of A and B occurring together is the product. So event A would be 180 over 240. We got to multiply that by event B. Event B would be 96 over 240. And if these events are independent, then that should equal the intersection, which is 72 over 240. So when I multiply my calculator 180 over 240 times 96 times 240, the calculator tells me that probability is 3/10. I want to see if that equals the intersection. So put 72 over 240 and simplify. That tells me it also equals 3/10. So they would be independent since they're equal. If they were not equal, they would be dependent. Do the same thing on this one. Let event A be living near a pool, and event B owns a bike. See if the events are independent or dependent. Number 8. Assume that the following events are independent. The probability that a senior will go to high school is 0.72. So the probability of A equals 0.72. The probability that a high school senior will go to college and live on campus is 0.46. So that's probability of A intersect B because we have an and, so that's 0.46. The formula to find conditional probability, what is the probability that a high school senior will live on campus given that they will go to college? That would give me the intersection, which is 0.46, divided by the probability of the given, 0.72. If I put that in my calculator, that tells me that it's 0.64. You work this one. Number 9. In soccer, a shutout game is where the winning team does not allow the other team to score. If set W represents all the wins and set S represents all the shutouts, which describes the set of shutout wins? That means shutout and wins. So it may help if you do wins for event A, shutouts for event B. So where do we have shutout wins? So which one's the correct notation? You work this one. Number 10. A random survey was conducted to gather information about age and employment status. The table below shows the data that were collected. What is the probability that a randomly selected person surveyed has a job given that that person is less than 18 years old? So I know that it's conditional probability. I'm given that they're less than 18 years old, and I do not have a total. So if I total that, I add 245 and 20, so that gives me 265. I'm not concerned with any numbers left, so my intersection of have a job would be 20 over 265. You work this one. Determine the probability that a randomly selected person plays video games given that they do not drink soda. Same question. Find the probability that a person has a job / older than 18. Remember, the slash means given. That's conditional. I'm given that they're older than 18, so that's the only numbers I want to look at. The other numbers go away. If I add 587 plus 92, that gives me 679. So the intersection has a job, 587, over the total of the given, 679. You work this one. Find the probability of drink soda / which means given, plays video games. On these, find bicycle, intersect, skateboard. Now notice it doesn't say P for probability. So the people that are in the intersection would be Joe, Mike, Linda, and Rose. The next part wants me to find bicycle, union, skateboard. So that would be everybody in both circles. So Ryan, Sarah, Marquigo, Nina, Dion, Joe, Mike, Linda, Rose, Brett, Juan, and Toby. On the next question it says, find bicycle, intersect, skateboard prime. So that means people that are not in the intersection. So if I look at the intersection, the intersector of bicycle, skateboard, that would give me these people. But I don't want those people. I want the people that's not in the intersection. So that leaves me Ryan, Sarah, Marquito, Nina, Dion, Brett, Juan, Toby, and don't forget Amy, Gabe, and Abby, because they're not in the intersection either. All right, next they want you to find P for probability of bicycle, union, skateboard. So when I count all the people in the union, that gives me 12 people out of a total of 15. The next part wants me to find P for probability, bicycle prime. So these are all my people in my bicycles. But it says prime, so I don't want them. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that don't own a bicycle out of 15. And then the last question over the Venn diagram says, find the probability, P stands for probability, of bicycle / skateboard. Remember the slash means given. So I know that everybody's going to have a skateboard. So everybody else is out of the picture. So what is the probability somebody has a bicycle? Well, the only ones that own a bicycle are Mike, Linda, Joe, and Rose. So that would be 4 out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the probability of bicycle given skateboard is 4 over 7. You work this one. Name the members of beach vacation, union, mountain vacation. Let's change this one to be name the members of beach vacation, intersect, mountain vacation. There we go. Intersect, mountain vacation. Beach vacation, intersect, mountain vacation, prime. Remember, those are people who are not in the intersection. All right. Which reason justifies step 2? If I read step 2, PQ over QR equals QR over SQ. PQ over PR equals PR over PS. Well, if I look and I say, okay, well, I've got PQ and QR. Those are sides in my triangle, so I'm talking about sides. QR is a side in a triangle, and SQ is a side in a triangle. Those are sides. So I know that I'm talking about corresponding sides. That eliminates these two choices. So I need to decide, are we trying to say the corresponding sides of similar triangles are proportional, or are we trying to say the corresponding sides of similar triangles are congruent? And I can look and see that this is equal fractions, so that means that they are proportional. It helps to eliminate answer choices. Which theorem can be used to find how high the ladder reaches up the side of the building? This is theta. This is my right angle. My right angle always points to my hypotenuse, so this would be my hypotenuse. And across from theta is my opposite side. So I know, using SOHCAHTOA, that I'm going to choose a trig ratio, and I'm going to use sine because that's the one that uses opposite and hypotenuse, so that eliminates choice B and C. I know my opposite side is x and my hypotenuse is 12, so that would make D the correct answer. On this one, Jason constructed 2 cylinders using solid metal washers. The cylinders have the same height, so we know the height is the same. But one of the cylinders is slanted. Which statement is true? All right, we know they will have the same volume if they have the same height and the same cross sections. So we know they have the same height, so they're going to have the same volume. We've already said they have the same height, so we don't need to say that again. So the answer is D. On this one, in circle N, PR is the diameter. The measure of angle PNQ is 135 degrees. The length of QN is 6. So I know my radius equals 6. All right. What is the approximate length? That means I want to find the arc length. So I've got to use my proportions. So I know I'm going to do arc degree over 360. And I'm going to do x over the circumference because I want to find length. So, how many degrees is it from PQ to R? Well, I know that diameter, divide that circle in half. If I subtract 135, because that's the larger arc, that gives me 45. So I would say 45 over 360 equals x over the circumference. If you look up the circumference formula on the formula sheet, it says circumference equals 2 times pi times r, which in this case is 6. So if I multiply 2 times pi times 6, that tells me it's 12 pi. That will be my denominator. And you're going to cross multiply here. So cross multiply to get your answer. And the last one, what is the measure of angle WYX? If I trace WYX, there's my angle. Notice that its vertex is on the circle. So it's called an inscribed angle. Therefore, I know that the angle equals the arc divided by 2. I can also look at angle WOX. That is a central angle. And I know that this angle equals the arc. So if that angle's 80, that arc's 80. So if I want to find my inscribed angle, I need to divide that 80-degree arc by 2. So my answer is going to be 40.